Here's another beak you wouldn't want to argue with. It belongs to the Sawbill, and he's the subject of tomorrow night's wildlife thriller, House of Games. Oh, and don't forget our trip to Wentworth either, at 20 to 12. Now a bird with a bill and a half.
One can hardly imagine a bird that would choose to live in the chill waters of the upland rivers and burns of Scotland. But believe it or not, one does make its home here. It's called a goosander, and it's a master of Scotland's swift-flowing streams and fords. The name goosander suggests that it's a goose, but it's actually a species of duck. When it comes to catching fish, no duck is better. Its underwater skills are superb. The name goosander isn't the only confusing thing about this bird. The male and the female look like two separate species. This bird is the female. The male goosander has a red bill and a glossy bottle green head. Goosanders belong to a family of ducks called sawbills because their bills have saw-like serrations for grasping the fish which they feed on. This is a female goosander. The serrations on her bill show clearly. The teeth point forward on the lower mandible, but backward on the upper. The goosander is the largest of the sawbills and has a rather unusual lifestyle. Goosanders are relative newcomers to Britain. It was only about 100 years ago that the first pair nested in Scotland. Since then, they have spread to the northern counties of England and to Wales. There are around 1,500 breeding pairs altogether now. 3 species of sawbill occur in Britain. Goosanders are the largest. Closely related to them are the similar-looking red-breasted mergansers. Again, the male and the female have very different plumages. The male merganser can be identified by his reddish-brown breast and long crest. Red-breasted mergansers live and nest close to the sea. The smallest of the sawbills is the smew. Following the general sawbill pattern, the drake has the more striking plumage. Smew are only winter visitors to Britain, and they migrate to Norway and Siberia to breed. Goosanders also breed there too, but they are now firmly established in northern England and in the fast-flowing burns and rivers of Scotland. Goosanders don't live here all the year round. The winter they spend at the sea, but in spring they gradually move up the river systems. Goosanders tend to pick trout and salmon rivers in the most secluded areas. They need seclusion to raise their families, and there's nowhere quite so secluded as the Highlands of Scotland. Suitable breeding country for goosanders needs nest sites that are safe from predators. Goosanders sometimes nest in holes in cliffs, but they prefer holes in trees. Trees within easy reach of water aren't common, and this is probably one of the limiting factors in the goosander distribution in Scotland. The spread of the goosanders over the last century has not met with the approval of fishermen and water bailiffs. They believe that goosanders, amongst other birds, ruin the fishing by taking young salmon. There's no doubt that goosanders catch many fish. Underwater, they propel themselves forward with their powerful webbed feet. To preserve salmon stocks, some water bailiffs still shoot goosanders, but this is not an effective policy. Goosanders do eat young salmon, known as park, but not enough to account for the drastic fall in the numbers of mature fish caught in Scottish rivers at present. The real fault lies in overfishing out to sea. The Goossanders probably do more good than harm by also eating the predators of young salmon like eels and trout. When the loch becomes free of ice in March, the Goossanders fly in from their wintering grounds. The females arrive first and immediately begin prospecting for nest sites. This old Scots pine tree is used from year to year because it has a perfect nest hole. Unfortunately, another bird is in occupation already. The first occupant hasn't established ownership yet. There's a lot of competition over the best sites. The females are soon joined by the males who come to court them. Their journeys take them from the lochs to the small burns up on the hills. Here, other females may compete for the attentions of the males. During these paired flights, differences in plumage between male and female show clearly. Until 200 years ago, the female was thought to be a different species, called a sparling fowl. Sparl is the Old English for sprat, a fish the Goossanders eat in winter. Only the male was known as a Goossander. With the lengthening daylight, spring is coming to the highlands, and the Goossanders soon begin breeding in earnest. Courtship is a communal affair. Goossanders tend to choose still water for this purpose. The pairs are contesting their right to stay on this loch, and the males will fight until one secures a victory and drives the others away. The females join in, inciting the males to greater activity. Finally, one pair is driven off and will try their luck elsewhere. With the limited number of nesting sites in Scotland, they may not find it easy. A function of this communal display is to bring the pairs into full breeding condition. The female takes the lead in Goosander courtship. This bird plays with a piece of stick while the drake dances attendance on her. Another element of courtship is the drinking ceremony. To give encouragement, the female chatters at the male. She adopts a flattened position low in the water. This shows she is ready to mate. After mating, the ducks split up from the drakes. Gusanders have a single parent system. From now on, the female is on her own while she raises her brood.
Morning, young man.
Morning, madam.
Morning. Mr. Stevens.
Good morning, madam.
Hello, Timothy.
Morning.
Hi, Tim Tims.
The more familiar you become with us, the more you get out of it. Because with Smith's new club card, the more you spend, the more you save. You can even have savings on the spot.
Shall I take something off now, madam?
Oh, that would be lovely.
Whatever you're into, get into W.H. Smith.
With up to 20% off many sale prices, the House of Fraser sale ends this Sunday.
Gentlemen, this is a phenomenon. These pictures have been enhanced. Note this extraordinary object. It's got a powerful 16-valve engine and ABS. Look here, the name, highly unusual. And what is wrong with this picture? Precisely, air conditioning. This Desire costs just $13,990 on the road. It's one of 3 limited edition Xantias available now.
The Citroen Summer Phenomenon. Now there's something you don't see every year.
Unfortunately, we have no idea what this creature is.
I can't believe how many lettuces that bloke's buying. I mean, he has got to be Vegetarian of the Year.
Nobody's doing more to improve freshness than Safeway.
Oh, silly me. He's swapping them for new ones.
And now we've shortened the time over 100 of our fruit and veg lines are on the shelf, we can actually guarantee they'll stay fresher in the home for longer.
How long do you reckon these plums will last then, Joe?
About 5 minutes the way you pile them in, Molly Moo.
The Safeway quality and freshness promise.
By early May, the female Gusanders are busy with nesting duties. This female is returning from fishing. She makes just one fishing trip every day while she's incubating her eggs. Her nest is 20 meters above the river, under a tree root. She has chosen this site because it should be safe from predators. Cliff sites aren't so common as holes in trees, but they're used whenever the birds can find them. She turns her eggs regularly to ensure they're evenly incubated. Like all ducks' nests, the Gusander's is lined with down that she preens from her breast feathers with her bill. To prevent the down blowing about and advertising the nest to predators, the bird carefully arranges it in a compact mass around the eggs. And whenever she leaves the nest, she covers the eggs with the down to keep them warm. During the month-long incubation, she avoids other Gusanders as far as possible. But while she's catching her meal, she notices another female nearby. Intruders are not welcome in her territory, and she moves upstream towards her. The resident won't fight with the intruder, but she stretches her neck out in a threat gesture, and the other female begins to move slowly away. There's a good reason for behaving so defensively. Females that cannot find nest sites will often try to lay their eggs in another Gusander's nest. Too many eggs will be impossible to incubate successfully. The resident bird returns to her nest. She settles down to the final stages of incubation, which lasts for 6 weeks. The males are nowhere to be seen now. They go out to sea to molt, maybe even as far as Arctic Norway. So while the females are incubating their eggs, there's little sign of goosanders on the Scottish lochs. The mist rises as a rosy dawn struggles to break through the clouds. Unsettled weather is common in the Scottish Highlands when the goosander chicks hatch out in late May. At the nest in the Scots pine, the female flies in from a fishing trip. Her eggs have already hatched. Like all ducklings, baby goosanders leave the nest within 48 hours of hatching. Most ducks are ground nesters, and the ducklings leave the nest as a brood with their mother. For the tree-nesting goosanders, it's not so straightforward. The female gives a special call to encourage them to follow her. Once in the water, the ducklings gather round her. At the nest on the cliff, the eggs are still hatching. The ducklings' earliest response is to snuggle up to the first large moving object they see, their mother. The process of imprinting takes place as they form a strong bond with her. The ducklings learn the mother's characteristics, including her size, shape, colour and voice. The ducklings have the beginnings of the handsome goosander crest as soon as they're hatched and dry. The mother broods both ducklings and unhatched eggs to keep them warm. Hatching may take up to 12 hours altogether. The first to hatch become increasingly inquisitive and active. The ducklings spend up to 24 hours in the nest. During this time, they will imprint fully on the duck. Imprinting ensures that they follow her all together as a brood to the feeding grounds when they leave the nest. She does not feed them. They will soon have to feed themselves, but for the moment, though, the energy from the egg is sufficient to sustain them. The day after hatching, it's time to leave the nest. The duck flies down to the river below. Then she calls the ducklings to her. They hesitate only briefly before launching themselves into space. Amazingly, they all survive the fall intact. Their bodies are so lightweight. They take a second or two to recover, then they join their mother in the water. The duckling's early imprinting stimulates them to keep close to the duck, often getting a ride on her back. It's particularly important that the brood keeps together. Single ducklings are easy prey for birds like herons. 3 ducklings play in the shallows, oblivious of the dangers. The ducklings are occupied with a worm washed out in the rain. Fortunately, their mother is there to guide them away down the falls to safety. From the moment they enter the burns, the ducklings swim as if they'd spent a lifetime in the water. The white spots on their rumps and wings act as visual signals and help them to keep together as a family. So Goosander ducklings have a strong attraction to moving white spots, which they identify as others of their brood. The duck encourages them to search for food below the surface, diving under the water herself so that they follow suit. In the early stages, ducklings often get separated from their families and try to join other groups. The mother chases a strange duckling away, who will probably be accepted into the brood if it perseveres. At 2 weeks old, the young spend much of their time on the burns, diving for insect larvae and crustaceans that are their staple diet. The female Goosander escorts her young around the burns for several weeks before she leaves them to their own devices. It's at this time that water bailiffs and gamekeepers sometimes shoot the Goosander families. They're very vulnerable because the young are still unable to fly at this stage. The families are safer if they stay on the large open waters. Summer comes slowly in Scotland. June is a notoriously bad month, but by the end of July, the young Goosanders are 8 weeks old and their sawbills are already well developed. Their mother has left now and the survivors have split into small groups. They are highly competitive and behave with playfulness and exuberance, preparing themselves for adult life. They're already good at catching fish. Their prey includes perch, pike, tench, trout, stickleback and young salmon. Small burns like these are nursery areas for many young fish. Other prey items include water shrews, eels, dragonflies and frogs. With such a plentiful diet, the youngsters grow rapidly. The young Goosanders soon learn which stretch of water is best for fishing. To get maximum speed, they use their wings underwater. Up to 10% of fish caught underwater will be small trout, and up to 50% young salmon. With salmon and trout fishing providing so much income, it might seem that there's a valid case for controlling Goosander numbers. But the truth is that even where the Goosander population is high, many millions of salmon parrs survive and leave the rivers. It is while they're maturing in the sea that the real slaughter occurs. Vast quantities of salmon are netted each year offshore and when they return to the rivers of Scotland. Goosanders are definitely not to blame for the demise of salmon fishing. Fortunately, recent legislation has made it illegal to kill goosandas in Scotland except under special licence to protect fisheries from serious damage. Goosandas are a handsome addition to Britain's bird life. Despite the controversy that surrounds the damage they do in fisheries, the sight of these sawbill ducks on the burns of Scotland, England and Wales is still a most welcome one in summer.
More feathered wildlife at the same time tomorrow night. We visit a strip of East Anglia which has become indispensable for all kinds of wildfowl.